There is similarity between the first reading and the gospel. They tell about the story of the generosity of a widow who had very little for herself but was willing to share what she had. In our first reading from the book of Kings, the widow was in dire need because there was no way that she could earn any money to feed herself and her son. She had little bread remaining in the house when Elijah asked her for a little of her food and water. The widow was generous to give up the little that she had, trusting in God that a miracle will happen. Indeed, miracle happened as she was filled by the Lord with food and blessings. The story in the gospel also shows a picture of a widow who was willing to sacrifice despite her scarcity. In the temple, the poor widow donated 2 coins, just worth a penny. And that is her tithing and offering to the Lord in the temple. That seems very little compared to the large donations of the rich. Yet Jesus would say, this poor widow put in more than all the others. Why did Jesus say that? The reason is because while the rich contributed from their surplus wealth, the widow from her poverty has contributed all she had. She is so poor, with no means to earn a living, nothing to hold on to, no money, no house, no possessions. But she was able to give her 2 coins at the temple with open hand, with open heart. If she has given away the little amount that she had, how would she live? She didn't know, but she believes that what she did is right. Her generosity was moved by her total trust in God. Deep within her heart, she believes that God would not abandon her. Letting go all she had and giving away the things she had to live on is tantamount to giving her whole life. She offered everything with faith to the divine providence. And for this, Jesus admires her great faith. Generosity is a virtue. It is the total offering of not just one's possession, but of oneself with faith in God's divine providence. Generosity is the fusion of Christian virtue as we exercise acts of charity. Remember that last Sunday we talked about the commandment of love. Love God, love yourself as we love other people. And in the Christian parlance we call love charity. And in the course of our charitable act, we realize that we are generous. We become generous to people. So we give, we donate. Many people give or donate something, either in money or anything. We contribute to the church or to any charitable programs and projects. Today we are invited to reflect and examine once again our motive in giving. What is our intention when donating something? What is our ulterior motive whenever we give something, either for charity, for the church, or for whatever cause? In the gospel, our Lord Jesus is critical of the fake givers. If we have those fake news, we have fake givers, pretenders, as he is critical of the scribes whose motive is to inflate their own egos and make them look great in the sight of others. And Jesus calls them hypocrites. They find ways to make money from the poor for non-payment of their dues at the temple, perhaps legal, but leaving them destitute. My dear brothers and sisters, the world that God has created is so rich. But the distribution of the world's wealth and goods has not stopped hunger and poverty to many people. The problem of the world is not lack of money, but greed. It is the culture of greed that brings many people down to misery. It is said that the world is enough for man's need, but the world is not enough for man's greed. It needs genuine spiritual renewal in order to root out greed from our hearts. And Jesus came to rescue us. Jesus is seeking our conversion, the conversion of our greedy heart into a generous heart. Generosity is not only in terms of money and material things. We can also be generous in things that money cannot buy. There are essential things that money cannot buy. We cannot buy charity. We cannot buy love. Even the song of the Beatles says, "Can't buy me love." Remember that. Many of you know the song, "Can't buy me love." But we can learn and share our faith and courage to those who are troubled and those who are afraid. We can be generous with our time, to spend some time to visit the sick, to console the abandoned, those who have lost their jobs, those who have lost their homes and their loved ones. Consoling the afflicted, consoling the widows, consoling those who are abandoned, giving time for them. And that is wealth, that is treasure. The more you give, the more you receive. For God is the source of all graces. We are His instruments through which these blessings flow to others. The more we share, the more blessings will come our way. The generous we are, the more we will discover the goodness of God, who can never be outdone in generosity. The virtue of generosity involves selflessness and self-sacrifice. That is, giving up things for the love of God and for the good of others. We may find it difficult to be generous in times of difficulty, just like during this pandemic period, when many people lost their jobs and resources. But moments of scarcity, just like this period, are moments of tests of faith. And these are also moments to grow in virtue, in Christian virtue. Giving entails sacrifice. Jesus himself showed us by giving up his Godhead. He's God, he's the Son of God, but he became man like us, and then he gave us his human life, taking the faults of many on himself and offering salvation for everyone. And this we heard from the letter of St. Paul to the Hebrews in the second reading. Some people think that if we give something to help someone in need, we would be left with nothing. However, we have to think otherwise. Think that the little things that we give to others are more often no greater than what we always store or save for ourselves. There's a saying, givers never lack. Givers always have. This is because they trust in God who gives everything. He gives us everything. God knows our needs. But more often, we always look for what we want more than what we need. He guides us how to meet our utmost concerns, so that all we need is to trust in the Lord, in His divine providence, as the widows in the gospel and in the first reading did. These are sources of our inspiration today. So in this Mass, let us ask the Lord to grant us a generous heart that will enable us to work for others. May God bless us all.